Thank you for joining us. You are a part of an elite group who recognizes that Black women's health should be at the forefront of the national conversation. We are mothers, daughters, activists, entrepreneurs, entertainers, corporate warriors, and more, who help boost the economy and often drive the national conversation. For 38 years, the Black Women's Health Imperative has strived to amplify our voices, help enact policy that protects us, research our issues, create programs that enhance our lives, and produce events like this one to ensure we keep the conversation going about the issues that matter to us most. So, let's get started with our program.
Welcome to the Black Women's Health Imperative and the Power of Sure. It's all about the mammograms and making sure we prevent or at least cut into the numbers of breast cancer in our community. I want to give you some stats before we go to our power-packed panel discussion. First, Black women are 40% more likely to die from breast cancer than white women. 2, breast cancer is more likely to be found at an early stage among white women than among Black women. 3, African American women have a 31% breast cancer mortality rate, the highest in any U.S. racial or ethnic group. And 4, among women younger than 45, breast cancer incidence is higher among African American women than white women. So there is an imperative for us to deal with this issue today during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I am so pleased. We have a panel that you don't want to miss. First of all, let's start talking about the panel. Mary J. Blige, national recording artist and campaign spokesperson. Linda Goler Blount, the president and CEO of Black Women's Health Imperative. Dr. Joy Bradford, founder and therapy for Black girls. Wendy Raquel Robinson, actress. Also Erica Campbell, gospel singer and radio host. I'm your moderator, April Ryan, and we have Jessica Swanson, vice president of marketing for Hologic. And without further ado, I would like to bring to you this campaign spokesperson, the great, the awesome, the iconic Mary J. Blige. Yes, there she is, along with Jessica Swanson. Hello, Mary. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It is so good to see you here. And understanding that this is a major issue for women, but Black women. Why are you involved in this campaign, Mary?
Well, for one, I'm a Black woman who's always cared about Black women's health, Black women's life. I've put my life on the line. I've been an example. I've fell in public. I've gotten up in public. I've been all types of things in public, humiliated, celebrated. And why not take a moment like this and use my platform, celebrity platform, and help someone to heal or help someone to get the health care that they need or to inform them that a mammogram can save their lives. So I'm here for those people, with for the Black women with lack of information. And as an example, not someone preaching to them or telling them what to do, but actually walking the walk that I'm talking. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important to me. And of course, another reason is I had an aunt that passed away from breast cancer, and we didn't even know she passed from breast cancer until later, because growing up in our houses, Black women, the Black women I grew up around anyway, they don't speak about mammograms or breast cancer. It's just one day someone ups and dies. So just like me, there's a young girl, young teenager somewhere, young woman living without that information, and I just want to get it to her.
Yeah, and it's so important. So now, because your aunt died, are you talking about this to friends, relatives, about when you get your mammogram or you have to schedule one? Are you doing that conversation?
Well, I haven't been speaking to my friends or anyone because I don't like to just press information on people. So no one's still talking about it and no one's asking about it. But if they ask, I will let them know. I will point them to the BSure.BWHI.org, Black Women's Health Imperative, so they can get the information they need. And I will help them as well, because this is something that I started doing when in my 40s. And I've been doing it ever since, because now I just want to know more and more and more about my health. So, yeah. Yeah.
You say 40s, you're timeless, Mary. You're timeless.
Well,
So, Jessica, and Mary was talking about the importance of mammograms, but let's talk about the importance not just for Black women with mammograms, but these 3D mammograms, particularly as Black women are more dense with their mass for breasts, and the importance of why we need 3D mammograms.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today. And you nailed it. It's important for all women to get mammograms, but there is a superiority with 3D mammography. It's shown to proven to find more cancers and also to be superior for women with dense breasts, which we know Black women have a higher prevalence of. And so absolutely everybody should be asking for a mammogram and getting their mammogram annually, but demand 3D. It's the best technology on the market, especially for breast density.
Yeah, and I guess transparency here. That is something I've already had a 3D because of the denseness, as we're talking about, to make sure you don't have a lump. And it is very important. It's new technology that's a lifesaver. And Mary, I followed you. I am such a fan of yours. I've been a fan since you remind me way back in the day.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And I've watched your evolution, and you talk about self-care. And this is all a part of that, taking care of yourself, mammograms. Talk to us about your self-care in this moment, particularly in this moment.
Well, let me just start with my history of not loving myself and not taking care of myself. It's been a process to get here, but I'm here, and it's going to be an ongoing process. I'm here to the point where I'm learning how to love myself from the inside out, meaning take care of my health. My health is my wealth. My health is the only thing that's really real, because if I'm sick or if I'm down, then I can't do anything. So it's just been the most important thing to me is my health, is my life. So it's extremely important for me to take care of my health, to get facials, to get dentist appointments, to get mammograms, to go to the GYN, and I've been doing it annually. I don't play around. I need to know, not want to know. And there was a time when I didn't care about knowing what's going on with my body. I didn't care. But, I reached a point where I have to know. I got to know. And I can't make anyone go by telling them what to do. I can only be an example for women to move and do whatever it is they're ready to do. Because you just have to be ready to get, ready to love yourself, ready to take care of yourself. It's a process every single day.
Yeah. And I love your evolution. I love your transparency and your
Thank
honesty. And you've brought a lot of people to the causes that you champion. And this is one that is a lifesaver. And I thank you. And before you go, because I know you're very busy, and I know you're creating, this is a creative time for all of us. And I know you're creating something masterful soon that we can listen to and dance to. I want you guys to hold on and take a look at this campaign video. Take a look.
I was in my 40s when I got my first mammogram. I went to my first exam not really knowing what to expect. My body started talking, so I started listening. And what I discovered is that it's a little weird and uncomfortable, but it's just like a split second of discomfort. It's not much. After that, it was like, okay, I'm not afraid anymore. I lost my aunt to breast cancer, and that has crossed my mind a bit when I've gone in for my annual appointments. However, I haven't let that stop me from being sure about my health. And I don't think anyone else should either. Black women are often very private. We don't want people knowing our business. But the more we open up, the more it allows us to share information that can be life-saving. Now that I know that 3D mammograms are better for Black women because we have denser breast tissue, I encourage every Black woman to ask for this option during their first or next visit. If you're a Black woman in your 40s, it's time to schedule your mammogram today.
Mary, thank you so much for your efforts, what you're doing, your move forward, your inspiration is helping to save lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Jessica, thank you so much. And do you have anything else to add, Jessica?
We're grateful for Mary J's partnership on this important campaign, and thanks for giving us some time today.
Thank you both. Thank you, Jessica Swanson and the great Mary J. Blige. So she's reminding us to get that 3D mammogram. So up next, let's go to Linda Goler Blount. Linda, How are you?
April, how are you?
I'm great. Wasn't that inspirational?
It was, I mean, nobody can speak truth to our lived experiences like Mary J. Blige, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have her as a partner to make sure that we get Black women the information they need that literally can save their lives.
So I'm a statistics person. I don't believe in myth or conjecture. I want statistics. Throw some out to us right now that that we don't know, that would blow our minds, because just finding out, the fact that 3D is more important for African American women than the standard mammogram, I didn't realize until I had the 3D. And why? Because of the density of our breast tissue. Talk to us about, give us some stats.
That's right. And you're exactly right. You talked about the difference in breast cancer mortality, Black women having a 40% higher mortality rate. But here's something that a lot of people don't know. Two things. Back in 1981, Black women and white women had the same breast cancer mortality rate. Now you know the difference. Well, that reflects who got access to early detection and care over that time and who didn't. But the other thing is, if Black women and white women have the same breast cancer, same stage diagnosis, same treatment, their outcomes will be exactly the same, April. There is no reason, there's no biologic reason or genetic reason for Black women to die at such high rates. It's because we're simply not getting access to early detection and quality care.
So what about lifestyle? Let's bring lifestyle into that. Does that play a part as well?
It does. So we don't know how to prevent breast cancer. We do know how to lower our risk. So obesity is related to breast cancer. And so obviously healthy eating and active lifestyle is really important. But the thing that doesn't tell the complete picture, because there's a whole body of research now that's 30 years old that actually looks at the impact of toxic environmental stressors like racial discrimination, gender discrimination on our inflammatory response, on our metabolic response. Black women have on average 15% more cortisol, a stress hormone, in their bloodstream than white women. And we have now seen a causal relationship between experiences of racial discrimination and diabetes, cardiovascular disease, maternal mortality, low birth weight babies. So it's not a stretch to think that there could be something related to cancers. It hasn't been studied yet, but we do know our inflammatory response is triggered by these elevated cortisol rates.
Wow, that's interesting. So with all of this information and knowing this and knowing our race and our gender and our propensity more so than other communities to have this, and it might be worse in some instances, how do we advocate for ourselves? Because many of us are shy. When we don't, a lot of times we don't even want to disrobe in front of a doctor, disrobe when we are going for that mammogram that many of us say is painful, but it's life-saving. How do we advocate for ourselves to say, I want 3D versus the standard mammogram?
Yeah, so one of the reasons Black women don't get screening mammography is simply because their physicians don't recommend it. Now, there's some fear of having cancer, fear of getting cancer from the mammogram, or that your cancer might be spread. But imagine that in this day and age, we still have providers who are not recommending that their patients get screening mammography. But I would say to Black women, we can be shy, and sometimes we tend to treat doctors as almost like gods, like we don't want to question them. But I say this to Black women all the time: you don't take bad service from the cable repair person, don't take it from your doctor. So if you don't like what the doctor is doing, if you don't like the way your doctor, your provider is answering your questions, find another doctor. You deserve the best possible care. You deserve access to life-saving screening, and it is there. And the mammography piece of it is the smallest part. I mean, as Mary J. said, it's a few minutes, there's some minor discomfort, but the importance is, if you have a breast cancer detected, you want to get it detected as early as possible, because, April, this is one of the few cancers where we can talk about a cure. So if we can catch it early, you can get it treated and go on and live your life and not have to worry about it.
So Linda, this is not, it's interesting when you talk to friends and you do open up and have these conversations and you're able to be transparent with one another. Some people, and this is so, I guess trite, but it's real. Some people feel like, well, I don't have to worry about breast cancer because of my cup size. No matter the cup size, you still get 3D, correct?
Absolutely. 3D is better at detecting a small lesion, no matter if you have dense breast tissue or not. It is just a superior technology. And the size of your breasts have nothing to do with your risk for breast cancer.
Yeah.
So
That's a
don't let
misnomer.
that stop you.
Right. And also, so when we go to the doctor and we challenge the doctor and said, oh, get a mammogram. And we say, can I have a 3D? And what if they say, oh, well, your insurance may not cover?
Well, yeah, and they might. And so one of the things that we're really thrilled about with this partnership is one of our partners, in addition to Hologic and Mary J. Blige, is RAD-Aid, which has a long history of providing life-saving, not only screening, but diagnostic follow-up and treatment to low-resource women or women in areas where there aren't these kinds of resources. So I would direct women to besure.bwhi.org to find those places where they can get access to 3D mammography, because we are certainly all about making sure that Black women have the access, no matter what their income level, no matter what their employment. We all deserve access to high quality screening and treatment if necessary.
We all deserve access to first-class health care as well.
Absolutely.
And in this election season, we are just days away. What's on the table when it comes to health care for Black women in your mindset and for the Black woman's health imperative?
Yeah, I would say everything is on the table. This is critical because we have seen over the last 4 years a constant sort of attempt to chip away at the Affordable Care Act, at other health care access that we've gained at the state level and the national level. We need to make sure that Medicaid is protected. It needs to be expanded, obviously. 50% of all births occur to women who are covered by Medicaid. So that's an area that we're focused on, making sure that women through the postpartum period have Medicaid. But to your point, to make sure that all insurances cover 3D mammography. It doesn't happen universally now. And so that's going to be a key part of what we'll be working on, making sure the ACA stays intact. Particularly concerned now with COVID-19, what that may mean. Imagine if suddenly COVID-19 became a pre-existing condition, what that would do to our access to healthcare. And in the next few days, we'll be releasing Black Women Vote, which is a national health policy agenda that you can use to understand the key health issues. We will work with our partners who are doing Get Out the Vote work so people understand where the candidates stand. There's a scorecard in the back of it. So after the election, you can hold your elected officials accountable for what they said they were going to do for Black women's health.
How available is 3D mammography in communities across the nation? I mean, we know it's newer, but does every radiation facility or every screening facility have one now, or is it still building?
It's still building. It is not universally available yet. Any new device likely that comes online will be 3D, but we still have a ways to go. And that's why on our website, we're going to make sure we have a list of where people can find 3D mammography. That's
right. And once again, give that site again, because this is so important. This is life-saving.
It really is. It's besure.bwhi.org.
And I want to go back to something Mary J. Blige said from her interview. She said something about the fact that her aunt had it and she didn't know.
Yeah.
A lot of times we have these conversations, these quiet conversations we don't want the kids to know. Mm-hmm. I know my great aunt had it. I don't know if she died from it, but I know she had it at one time. And then my mother's sister is still suffering with it, or she's still trying to live. But we've talked about it. My mother was open about it. And in a lot of families, they're not as open about these maladies and these terminal illnesses. Why is that? And how do we break that cycle for our survival?
Well, as Mary said, we don't want people to know our business. And so we don't put it out there. But also, Black women, we do so much. We feel like we have to power through. So one way you power through is don't let anybody know anything's wrong. Don't tell anybody. Just keep working, keep doing your everyday life. But two things happen. One, you suffer more because you don't have the support around you that you need when you're going through something like a breast cancer treatment journey. And two, if you don't tell people, then they don't know their family history. They don't know what questions to ask. When they're filling out those forms in the doctor's offices, they're missing critical information that literally could be life-saving if providers only knew they had a family history of cancer. So it's really critical that we share this information, that we are honest with our providers, because sometimes we don't even tell our providers what's going on, so that we do everything we can to save our lives. And the Black Women's Health Imperative was founded as a self-care organization, and it's critical that we take care of ourselves. We need to prioritize our health, because if we're not healthy, the family's not healthy. Right. If Black women aren't healthy, the community isn't healthy.
And self-care, you talked about self-care, and I'm a mother of two girls, an 18-year-old and a 12-year-old, Linda.
Bless your heart.
Thank you. I need help, all the help I can get. But, I tried to lead by example. Like my mother and father made it in an event when we went to the polling place for election night. Made it an event, and we did that. And now taking my oldest to the gynecologist with me, and talking to her about how you check yourself. That's important. I mean, and there is a shyness of mothers showing children, their daughters, how to check self-care for lumps. Talk to me about that piece as well.
I'm so glad that you're doing this. I mean, we have to do this. We have to talk to our daughters about their breasts, feeling their breasts. If you notice anything different, let me know, let your doctor know, pay attention to your body. I like the way Mary talked about, her body started talking to her. You will know, we know when something is not right. So by setting this example for your daughters that, if I'm paying attention to my body, and if things don't seem quite right, I'm going to go talk to somebody about it, gives them the permission then to do the same thing. There are a lot of things with women, our menstrual cycles, other things that we just don't want to talk about, but we do that to our detriment. If we are open, April, as you've talked to a woman and she said, I had that same thing. We are not alone. And that's one of the most important messages mothers can give their daughters is you are not alone. Whatever is happening to you happened to me. It is happening to people around you. So it is okay to talk about it.
Yeah, and I know my mother left this earth at the age of 64, and I was 40, and I wish I would have known a lot more to find out, what could be happening. And another thing, and then I'm going to let you go, and I thank you for this much needed and informative conversation. I was told that breast cancer does not start with pain.
No.
It does not necessarily start with pain.
No, it doesn't. That is not how you have it. And that's why when you're in the shower, just get to know your breasts. So if you feel anything, it may not be a cancer, but you don't know. If you feel something, call your provider, get it checked out, because it does not start with pain necessarily.
Linda, thank you. Linda Goler Blount, the president and CEO of the Black Women's Health Imperative. Thank you so much, Linda. This is a wonderful conversation. Talking to her made me feel like I'm doing the right things, but I need to do more, particularly in informing my children and my girlfriends around me, because I want them around. We need each other. So I want to bring in this panel. I'm so excited about this panel, and we're just going to have a family sister girl chat. Let's bring in Dr. Joy Bradford, founder, Therapy for Black Girls, Wendy Raquel Robinson, actress, and gospel singer and radio host Erica Campbell, who's a mother as well. I see you on Instagram with your babies. Hello, everyone. Yeah. How are you doing?
Great. Doing great. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to be here as well. I mean, what were you guys listening? Did you hear some of the things? I mean, this is kind of changing my mindset about this whole approach to breast cancer. In us, we are the ones who have a higher propensity than white people, or our white brothers and sisters, well, our white sisters, excuse me. Well, yeah, we can say brothers and sisters, because men have breast cancer as well. But the things that we found out, you know, stress can help bring it on. You know, it's not just biological, it's lifestyle, it's all of that. What did you pick up, Wendy? What did you pick up in this conversation that really stuck to you, or really impacted you?
I think one of the things that stuck to me the most was I kept hearing the word shy, and Black women being shy about a conversation, shy about having the relationship with their doctors. And for me, I created an acronym. SHY is stop hiding yourself.
Yes.
And when we stop hiding ourselves and we can just be transparent and talk to our sisters, our friends, or even I suffer from fibroids. And it took me forever to really open up. But once I did, I've discovered so many of my friends and my close friends did. So I learned early to stop hiding myself. And I found a whole other support group that really empowered me and gave me different alternatives and just resources. So that was the biggest thing that stood out to me. You know, we can't hide ourselves, because at the end we're hurting ourselves.
So from now on, I'm going to quote you, because I'm going to use that stop hiding.
Okay,
Right there.
wait a minute.
No, I will quote you now. I will quote you. Stop hiding yourself. That is empowering. That is impactful. And Erica, you're the everything woman. You are.
Yes, you are.
You know, I'm serious. On Instagram, she does these little the effects pictures, and she's got her kids. She's got her husband. She's the first lady. She's a gospel singer. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. You're doing everything in your talk show. Your radio host.
Yeah.
We carry the world on us. We have insomnia. We don't go to the doctor. We deal with joblessness. We are the ones that everyone else comes to. We bear their burdens.
Yes.
But yet we still have our own. How do we do this and still take care of ourselves?
Wow.
I always tell people, no matter how many hats I wear, I don't have to wear them all at the same time. I'm focused on being a mom in my house. Certain phone calls I don't take, certain emails I don't take. When I'm working, I'm blessed with a family that understands, and so they allow me to do what I do. So I don't have to bear the brunt of having to hold a microphone and a bottle at the same time.
Wow.
But at the same time, because of the way we've been presented in this country, this false sense of I'm good enough, look at me, see me, is always there. So we feel like if I say I'm sick, will I lose my job? If I say I'm sick, will I lose the promotion? If I say I'm sick or something's going on, will I not get the gig? And so we're afraid to live in our truth, when in all actuality, if we're honest, there are sisters that are just like us that goes, it's not just me. Wendy, I was the same way with fibroids. I was terrified. I was worried, but I was so weak. I would be on stage praying that I would make it through my last 2 songs.
Oh my God. That was me on set. Right.
No energy. And so I have learned to take good care of myself. I had a girlfriend with an organization called Life Worth Saving. And she said, when mama's sick, the whole house is sick.
Exactly.
To take care of ourselves. And I actually had put off my mammogram because of COVID, but I saw that Mary went during COVID. I'm going to make my appointment.
With her mask on and her white robe, her plush
absolutely.
Her plush white robe and her black mask. She made it cute.
So I'm going. And I challenge everybody watching to go as well, to make your appointment.
Absolutely. Don't wait until the pandemic's over. That'll be a whole other set of situations. Yeah.
Wendy, you're absolutely right. And I'm not, and you're not alone, Erica. I went to the doctor. I was scared to go to the doctor in COVID. I have been in my house since March. Okay. I very seldom go out. My children will tell you I have anxiety going out because I'm in the news and I know kind of what's going on. I'll tell you the truth, even though others won't tell you the truth about it. And I said, I'm going to go to the doctor. I was masked up and everything. And she said, you need to go get a mammogram. I was like, okay. And we're anxious, but seeing Mary do it and understanding, I need to go get a 3D again because I've had 3D. It's about my life.
Exactly.
And I've got to take my life in my hands. You're right. So Erica, you let me know when we're gonna schedule an appointment and we're gonna what do you call it? We're gonna be each other's. Yeah, we're going to be each
Accountability
other's
partner.
Accountability, yeah.
accountability partner. That's right. That's right. So, Dr. Joy, you're sitting here listening to everything that we're talking about. The weight of the world is on us. How do we go inwardly and find that peace? I got to take care of me. We are dealing with COVID. COVID is a whole nother set of circumstances. Then on top of that,
Indeed.
the racial reckoning. Then on top of that, joblessness. Then on top of that, I can't sleep because COVID. I can't sleep because they're marching in the streets. I can't sleep. I got to go make sure my ballot is counted. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
What we are dealing with today. Do we put on the hazmat suit today to go get the mail out the mailbox? I'm serious. Do we wear the gloves? How do we focus inwardly when we're dealing with all of this society is throwing at us?
Yeah, that is really difficult, April, and I'm glad you're sharing that. I mean, just listening to you run through that list, you can hear the amount of stress that all of us, in particular Black women, are experiencing right now. And so I do think
that, though.
I do think it is important for us to remember that none of all of those other things matter if we are not actually taking care of ourselves. And so, as you all have been talking this afternoon, really what has stuck out to me is the idea of boundaries. So when we're talking about not having to wear all of the hats at the same time, what we're talking about is really good boundary setting. So saying, no, I can't be the chair of this PTA committee, or no, I can't, take Uncle whoever to the store because I have these other things to do. And I think as Black women, we don't always feel comfortable saying no and protecting our time and protecting our peace because we're so worried about taking care of other people. But we do have to understand that if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of other people anyway.
Wow.
I needed this conversation, I'm telling you. So how many of us suffer from the Superwoman syndrome?
No, I literally got diagnosed with it.
Did you really?
Doctor. I was like, why is my body thrown off? I'm sleepy, but I can't go to sleep. And they took some tests and they said your adrenaline levels are off because you won't allow yourself to rest.
Wow.
Picking up your phone, getting on planes, and I wouldn't rest. And my body took a beating for it. It's real.
Your body will tell you what to do, and it will shut you down and rest for you. Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought it was me because I don't sleep well. I toss and turn at night, and I would keep the phone next to me. I've started shutting off the phone. So, okay, so I'm glad I'm not. We needed this conversation. Oh my gosh! Because if three of us or four of us, because Dr. Joy is just sitting there like, but I bet you, Dr. Joy, you're doing the same thing.
Oh, absolutely! Please do not think I am above it.
So, Dr. Joy, then, give us the definition of the Superwoman syndrome that Erica has been diagnosed with, and I bet you, Wendy and I probably have it too.
Exactly.
Give us the definition of it and tell us how we can change this.
Yeah, so, when we're talking about the Superwoman syndrome, we're talking about feeling like we need to be everything to everybody, and as if we are superhuman, so that we don't have any vulnerabilities, that we don't experience pain. And we know that this is a stereotype that really has kind of characterized lots of Black women. And the difficult thing is that a lot of us have bought into it, right? So we are often praised for being strong and praised for taking on all of these things, but we don't often look at the damage that it can cause internally to ourselves. So when Erica is talking about her cortisol levels, like cortisol is the thing that increases stress. Like that is what stress looks like in your body, is increased cortisol levels. And so it does result in things like having difficulty sleeping. We get more irritable. So people talk about feeling a little crispy around the edges, right?
Crispy.
That is like
I like that.
of an increase in stress. And so we have to remember that we can't be everything to everybody at the same time. We do have to save some for ourselves and do the things like get our mammograms and our annuals and making sure that we get our flu shots and all of those things that we know will help us to maintain our physical health, but also the mental health. So I can't be here as a psychologist and not make a plug for making sure we are taking care of our mental health, because we've already talked about the levels of stress that we're experiencing. So there's nothing wrong with getting some additional support from a therapist if you feel like you need that right now. And I think many of us can. We've already talked about how anxious we are, right? And so talking with a therapist can really help you to manage some of that.
I have one therapist that I heard from in the last couple of weeks, because a lot of people are offering this help. If you notice, you're seeing a lot of people on social media looking to these people who are these gurus, these lifestyle life coach gurus. People are looking for help. And they said one thing is empathy. I'm hearing empathy is so needed right now because everyone is going through it in some way, shape, or form. We've been touched by the pandemic of COVID. We've been touched by the pandemic of racism. We've been touched by this voter issue. And it's a lot. But I'm thinking back to the Superwoman syndrome. People expect us to be superwomen. Think about this. Chaka Khan and Whitney, I'm every woman.
Right.
It's all in me.
Right.
We are expected.
Yes.
Then our dear, lovely Karen White, I'm not your superwoman.
Right.
You know,
You went way back with that one.
oh, yes.
Right.
What is
Yeah.
it? Think that everything is okay. I'm only human. It's, what is it? I'm trying to remember.
I'm not the kind
That's
of girl that you can go down and think that everything is okay.
Right.
I
Boy,
am only human. Right. Yeah.
And then she goes to that high note, and she was, that is a pain for people. And then now let's go to last year, Erica.
Yes, ma'am.
Deliver me.
Yes.
My overthinking, how
Yes.
I treat myself, I self-sabotage.
Yes.
Because we've been playing that superwoman role. And now after we get all stressed out from listening to I'm every woman, I can do it all, and I'm not your superwoman,
Right.
we run to the church. You know, faith without works is dead. Yeah, I believe that God's going to heal me, but we got to work this through, right? After we carried every bell.
You can't say Jesus removed the fat. You got to exercise. And if you got relationships, you have to have a conversation. You have to take the initiative, the healthy initiative to be well. And sometimes that, you know, people are afraid of that, you know, and prayer is not a cover up. It is something in addition to. It's prayer strength to do. I tell people, don't just say I'm praying, say I'm praying and I'm going to vote. I'm praying and I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm praying and I'm going to therapy, as I am in now, you know. And sometimes it's not because something's wrong, but if you feel like something's not quite right, you don't know, you know, don't wait till you bleed and don't wait till, you know, you can't walk. When your body is talking to you, to it.
Vulnerability is strength, and thank you for your strength. It really is. It's not weakness, it's strength to be bold enough to say, hey, this is where I am. But now, Dr. Joy, I'm coming back to you, Dr. Joy. There's a conflict for many people between faith and being on your couch or having a virtual session with you. Talk to us, because some people are like, well, I'm going to church. I don't need to go to hear what secular words. I hear that quite a bit. You know, the Bible's got everything for me here. And it does. But again, Erica has brought the point. You have to do the work as well.
And the Bible also says, in the midst of counsel, there is great safety.
Wow.
The counsel, there is great safety. Talk to somebody, people.
Amen. Jump over,
you know,
right
and
there.
I think what has happened is that people will see both prayer and therapy as mutually exclusive, but there's nothing that says that you can't do both, right? You know, so if you have a good faith sensitive therapist who understands the importance of your faith community and, you know, your spiritual walk, then they can incorporate some of that even into your therapy, you know, so it doesn't have to be that you're thinking your therapist is going to kind of turn you against your church. A good therapist is going to incorporate that and help you to understand how your faith can embrace and enhance your mental health, and vice versa. You know, I would hope that pastors and other faith leaders are also understanding the importance of therapy and not turning their congregations away from the idea of talking with the therapist when it's needed.
Right.
A
lot of churches have counseling departments.
They do. They actually do. They
Things
actually
are changing.
You know, I feel like so many women, and, you know, even myself included, you know, live in isolation, you know, where, you know, there is the fear of judgment. And I'm going all the way back to breast cancer. I'm going back to the health issues. I'm going back to even domestic issues. And there is a fear of, you know, discussing those things. And I think the more open we are with panels like this, girlfriend talks, it's like I see everything on social media except for issues like this. And that really bothers me a lot, you know, and I think it's just opening up the platform. And like you said, Erica, how you were so open about the fibroids, it was like, see, just like that, you
Yeah,
know, and just
yeah.
talking to a therapist and just getting it out there and stop hiding.
Stop.
And that's crazy. While you're working, uplifting, and going back to what Wendy said, while you're working, uplifting the world, giving them the uplift, you're in pain for our soul salvation, our
Mhm.
gratification. I mean, I think about, you know, you and your sister on stage, and I'm like, oh my God. It just,
Mhm.
you know, it makes me see the person, the humanity
Yeah.
behind that, you know, because
Yeah.
and sometimes we don't look beyond the mask or what we see. There's always a story behind. Everyone has a
Right.
story. Everything has a story.
Mhm.
And let's talk about that. Going back to you opening up,
Yeah.
and Wendy said, we don't hear these kind of conversations.
Mhm.
Why is it that we don't talk to one another? We quick to say, oh, I got this wig that place, or I got some hair from here,
Right.
or I found these Christian Louboutins on sale at this store.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But when it comes, that's so surface, but when it comes to
Right.
the
Right.
real issues, why don't we open up?
I don't, is it a cultural thing too? You know, you mentioned something about having the two children, you know, your two daughters and things like that, and going to the self-breast exams together and them seeing that. So if we don't see anything and have to, that we can model after.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm thankful my mom was a registered nurse for 36 years. So we did have an open dialogue, but it was still very hard for me. You know, I don't know if it was the fear of judgment or just the fear of not knowing, but to be able to be open and to see it.
Yeah.
So if we don't see women talking to each other, it's really difficult.
I grew up with a lot of women, a great circle of women around me, aunts, and even in my church. These were not traditional church women. They were honest, they were sassy. But I did realize that there were certain things that was kind of left out of the conversation. And there is always an evil presence that's trying to keep us divided. If I say this, what will they think?
Right.
That means you're allowing fear to stop you from something that hasn't even happened yet.
Right.
So a lot of times when it comes to women and when it comes to people, you know, their social media is the thing now. You scroll through somebody's page and you see all this beautifulness and you don't know that she just decided not to post the ugly stuff.
Right.
That's right.
She didn't go through the exact same things as you did. When we learn to be honest, we are doing ourselves a great service. I think we are tapping into our God nature when we are being honest and being truthful. I believe we serve a God of truth. I don't believe that God wants us to hide, but I believe that the enemy comes to make us hide, to make us shrink. Because that way you don't live in purpose. Some of the things we go through is literally for God's glory. Every trial and test, every song I've sung, whether it was Can't Give Up Now or yesterday, I had to live those stories. That's why I can speak from my soul, from my gut. I know that I'm going to be okay. But if I'm afraid to say it, no one ever learns that. So we have to share our stories, and we have to realize that the enemy wins when we stay in our separate corners. The enemy wins when we close our doors and go, I'm just going to deal with it by myself.
Right.
I love the beauty of the community that I've had. I can pick up the phone, I can call somebody, and because I'm crazy, I will literally get on Twitter like I did yesterday and said, not having a good day, guys. I feel heavy today. Somebody pray.
Wow.
I picked up my phone today and went to Twitter. There was nothing but I'm praying for you, sis. I'm praying for you, sis. I'm
That's
praying.
right. That's right.
Like, who are we afraid? What's wrong with telling the truth?
Because we live in a plastic society, and I think and everything. And Dr. Joy, I get what people say, and there's a loneliness by looking at. It creates loneliness when you look at everyone. Oh, I'm posing. I'm doing this. I got this. New, I got It makes you feel less than. But I'm gonna go back to something, Erica. My favorite, the God in me. What is it you think you see when you see me? When you see me, you don't know how long I prayed. No, don't know how much I prayed. No,
know how much I gave.
How much I gave. That's right.
Yes, there's
People
so
don't
much.
know the story.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. We live in these little shells, and I always say people aren't ready for your truth. Sometimes there are a lot of people. We're having this very mature conversation, but a lot of people are not at that level because, Erica, there are people who use going to therapy as a weapon against you when it's like, wait a minute, you don't know who I was a couple of years ago. Thank God for therapy. You can talk to me, and I'm not knocking you down right now. I'm not doing nothing on you. I'm not calling Jesus Jesus. I'm not doing,
You are the best. But you gotta be honest with yourself. Everybody ain't gonna be able to handle your truth.
That's right.
Somebody will have something negative to say. I'm so blessed to say that I have a duck-like quality, and I can let those words roll right off my back. And like from my soul, I don't care. I will say so in a minute. You didn't. You said so.
Right. And
I'm grown and I want to and I can. So if you're not like me and you don't post on social media, that's fine. If it's liberating for you to just kind of release and get it out there, that's fine. However you get free, get free. Don't feel held hostage to anything. Don't hold the pain, the frustration, the irritation. Find yourself a circle, a village, somebody that you can talk to so you can get free. It's all about being free here and free in your soul, free to live your best life.
yeah.
God designed.
I think it's necessary to detox from social media. You got to cleanse, and there's so many people that are out there. And like you said, it is a plastic world. And I call it, it's who you post to be.
Who you supposed to be.
Come with your sayings.
Right.
Observation. It is through observation, and sometimes I just have to get off. I haven't been on social media. The last thing I posted was actually for this event, but I haven't been on in like 2 weeks because sometimes I just don't like the way it makes me feel. And I don't want to compare myself to anybody because my journey is my journey right now. And I just have to detox. It's a cleansing that's needed.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, we are in COVID. I feel like I'm in a cocoon right now. And it's cleansing to really, really take note of who I am and what I am going through and why.
Yes.
For whatever reason, for such a time as this, we are the chosen ones to live in this pandemic.
Right.
So Wendy, I'm taking everything Wendy has said, I'm taking. So that's just know that. You are what you're supposed to be. Dr. Joy, come on now. Come with it. Are you listening to this?
I am. And I am in the amen corner, so I talk frequently about needing to take breaks from social media. Because while I think social media is great and I have seen it do some incredible things, especially for Black women being able to find community on social media, but I think it can't stay there. Right? So even if you meet some great people on social media, can you then move into a group chat? Because I do think, especially with things like Instagram, there is a tendency to want to compare yourself. And we know, when I do presentations, I will ask people, how many pictures do you take before you find the one that you actually post on Instagram?
Right.
And it is never any less than 10, right? So we know that we are only sharing. Right. I'm just going to let it go. So we know that we're only sharing the highlight reels. We know that we are only showing the best of the best. And so you don't know the story behind, that one picture that you see on the grid. So like Wendy is saying, you have to pay attention to, how you feel when you are on social media. If you're finding yourself feeling increasingly jealous or feeling like, oh, I don't like this person and you don't even really know this person, that is a signal to you that you probably need to take a step back.
Wow.
I needed this conversation today. It was like, it's doing my soul good. And I'm going to say this to you. When I'm on social media, especially during COVID, I saw so many of us getting depressed and hurt and crying. And I said, I saw some of the strongest women I know hurting and upset, and it brought me to tears. And I said, what can I do to help people? Because I was getting a little depressed, waking up in a panic. And I said, that's not me. So I used Instagram for good, social media for good. I said, let's uplift, how to, and inform in a moment of crisis. And I have this IG show, and that's what I tried to do. That was my contribution to myself, my self-care, and trying to help people. And people are gravitating to it. And I'm going to ask all of you to come on. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. But here's what I want to wrap this up. Each one of you, self-care in this moment and beyond. Each one of you, give us your self-care tips in this moment and beyond.
I've been journaling a lot. And, it started initially as a challenge because, I wanted to write my one-woman show and different experiences. But I was like, oh, God, you take pen to paper. Where do I start? And it's like just a stream of consciousness and just getting it out. Because it is that superwoman syndrome. My mind races, my thoughts, they race, this, and the other. And I just have to just get it out. And even though it doesn't make sense on paper right now, it's getting out. And then I'll go back and I'll edit and I'll put it together and all of that. But that's a big part of my self-care. And the other thing is, I can't be everything for everybody. I'm realizing that, I'm understanding that. I run a performing arts school. It's been 25 years, thousands of kids, thousands of lives, thousands of problems that I would take on. And the empathy, I go back to your word empathy that you used earlier. And I feel like I'm an empath, and I would take on everybody's pain and feel that. And it's like, I can't. I got my own ish right now that I got to deal with. And it's okay to be selfish.
And that's somebody calling you with some more ish.
Right. But but it's, and I'm sorry about the phone call, but it's very important for me to put myself first and not feel guilty about it. And that's the hardest thing for me. So that's where I am. Yeah.
Thank you for your transparency and your heart,
Thank
Wendy.
you.
Erica?
For me, I started working out more during COVID. There was this 20 pounds that I just couldn't get off. And I was asking my trainer, I was like, why is it so hard? And she said, you haven't made up your mind. Wow. And I made up my mind that I wanted to take good care of Erica. And so that means meditating. That means just going in the backyard going, the food's in the kitchen. Y'all got it, husband. I'm just going to put my feet in the pool and just think and just look at the trees and just breathe deep and just take a moment for me. And I've noticed that I write different, getting back to singing just for the joy of it and not for the work. You know, there are no concerts, you know, and there's this thing that I've loved my whole life, and now it's a job. How to make sure that I still enjoy the gift that God, which allows me to be better with my husband, better with my kids, better as a first lady, and even on the radio, and just trying to be transparent, and then trying to make sure that I teach my girls and my son to tap into their gifts. I can't do it if I'm so busy. I can't do it if I'm overwhelmed. You know, and the Bible talks about he'll keep you in perfect peace if your mind is stayed on him. If my mind is stayed on the creator, created this whole world, somehow it's going to make sense. I don't have to understand, but I trust the one who does. And that allows me to get a little bit better rest. You know, and sometimes I go back and forth because I'm a thinker and I want to fix stuff. And I'm like you, Wendy, I'm picking up the phone. Well, okay, well, I'm coming over. Okay, well, what do you need? Well, what time? I'm trying to do all of that. And sometimes I have to go, I'm emotionally unavailable.
Wow.
When it comes to work, I've learned to say, I'm creatively unavailable. You know, I'm in recharge mode. I'm in refresh mode. That has allowed me to really go through COVID and not lose my mind because I'm not on stage. Because you get so used to having a microphone, and I don't know if the audience needs me or I need the audience.
Wow.
I had to figure that out. And a lot of our creatives and the people who are up front, you go, oh, they need me. And no, I need somebody to serve because it makes me feel valuable. I have to feel valuable sitting with my socks off, with my wig off by myself and go, I'm still valuable.
Right.
Those moments when you take the wig off and when you are real you, that's where you find you.
That's the power right there.
That's where you find.
That's the power.
That's where I find you.
So, Dr. Joy, you know, I've so appreciated this. We all need these sister girl coming together chats.
Yes.
And being transparent and being open, not for show, fashion, but just honesty, because there is a lack of it right now in the midst of pain. So, Dr. Joy, your final thoughts.
Yeah, so we have talked really all day about really listening to your body. And I think the only way that you can really get comfortable listening to your body is if you get good practice in cultivating stillness. So we know that we are often running around, like we said, taking care of other people, answering the phone, answering emails, and we are never still. We're never quiet. And so you can't actually pay attention to what your body is telling you if you are not quiet. And so that has really been my self-care practice during this time, is just really just being quiet, turning off the phone, you know, letting the boys play downstairs, and just being quiet so that I can really tap into and pay attention to what my soul and my body is telling me.
Wow.
That's great.
Well, Wendy,
Stillness.
Dr. Joy, and Erica, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conversation, from Mary J. Blige to Linda to all the way down to this moment. And one thing that we have to remember, it's about us, our self-care, be it going to get that 3D mammogram or being just in the moment, present with yourself and loving yourself. We as Black women have to remember, we can't help anybody if we can't help ourselves. And we are our number one advocate for ourselves. And we have to love ourselves enough to P.O.W.E.R and go to the Black Woman's Health Imperative and make sure you get a list of all the places where you can get the 3D mammograms. It's important because we are dense. Our breasts are dense. Do the self-check and do self-care. We love you. Thank you so much. Vote.